All right, today's episode is about my first tour in Australia. So a lot of people don't even know I used to tour down in Australia for 6 winters and pre-COVID days. I was touring in New Zealand with a promoter, Billy TK Jr., who brought me down there with my band members, Edgar. And so we had this awesome tour, and I got to play all over New Zealand and Waiheke and Whangarei and Auckland, and my band was on a tour in Fiji for the Jazz and Blues Festival. I got to play in Samoa. So it was pretty incredible. And then I had a couple weeks off and we were down there and I didn't have any shows. And everybody said, why don't you play in Australia? And I was like, well, because I don't know anybody in Australia. Except for I had met a web designer in San Francisco named Jake, who was helping me work back and forth with my website. And so I messaged Jake and said, hey, can I crash at your place? I'm coming to Australia next week. And he said, sure. I heard there's this huge country music festival called Tamworth. It's like their Nashville. So I went up there, like literally did not know a soul except for this guy, Jake, who I'd met with some friends in San Francisco. And Jake drove me 4 hours up to Tamworth. I did not know a soul. There was like nowhere to even stay. And so I was walking around with my guitar and my suitcase without knowing anybody in this town, but I heard if you go to this bar and meet this guy, Mike, might be able to get you some shows. So I'm on this like wild goose chase, walking all over Tamworth with my suitcase and guitar. And I finally go to the Long Branch or the Long Yard Saloon, I think. And I walk in there and there's this guy on stage and the guy told me, yeah, go up and ask him if he can play. So I walk up there and this guy, Mitchell Shadlow, was playing. And I said, hey, I'm Erica Sunshine Lee. I'm from Nashville. I'm a singer-songwriter. Can I play a few songs? And he said, sure. So I got up and I met this girl who was super talented, Maggie, and she was 15. And I was like, let's write together. I love your voice. She's awesome. And little did I know that not everybody just co-writes like we do in Nashville with all these people. So anyway, I got to hang out with her, Maggie, and her parents were there. And I was like, I don't have any place to stay because there was like no hotels. They were all booked up. And I said, can I crash here? And they had an air mattress. So I slept on that air mattress out in the outback with all those poisonous spiders for several nights. And I ended up playing 9 shows in the 7 days that I was there. And I got to meet all the Australian bands. I got to write with Bill Chambers. That next week, I got to go back and write with the Viper Creek Band. And since I was linked up with them, I was actually just running by a studio in this place called Newcastle. And I walked in and said, hey, I'm from Nashville. I'm a singer-songwriter. I was just playing in Tamworth and I'm here a couple extra days. Do you know anybody I can write with? And they set me up several writing appointments that week. And I went to the studio the next day with Damian Bagley. And he's the lead singer of the Viper Creek Band. He's amazingly talented. And we started writing and I said, what gets on your nerves about your wife? Like what grinds your nerves? What bothers you? Like I'm trying to think of a fun duet or something that would be fun to write. And he's like, nothing. She's amazing. I was like, oh, come on, tell me something. He's like, no, literally, she saved my life. Like I was not doing well and I met her. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. And I was like, wow, that was so powerful and unexpected. So then I said, well, tell me more. How did you meet? And she's like, oh, I saw her blonde hair in a crowd and her smile. And so we ended up writing this amazing duet called You Saved Me. And it was up for a Australian People's Choice Award. And you can check out the music video we filmed in Australia. And it's the Viper Creek Band, Erica Sunshine Lee, You Saved Me. And next thing you know, I went back for 6 years in a row. So that was another time that God was looking out for me on the road, not only providing a place to stay, but people that I met along the journey and just the connections and the shows that I was able to line up and go back there is a pretty incredible experience. So thanks, Damian. And just another example of how God's just opened up doors. But I do think sometimes, you've got to be brave enough to take that first step. Like God wouldn't part the Red Sea until they put their feet in the water. So that's my advice for the day. Is if you want to make it happen, obviously God will look out for you, but sometimes he tests your faith to see if you're willing to make the first move. See y'all.